Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 7 o'clock main news. In tonight's headlines, the National Assembly approves and refers to the government a number of reports submitted by the Budget and Final Accounts Committee. Iraq's new parliament ends its first session in disarray, with MPs failing to make any progress in choosing a new leadership. The Iranian president affirms that his nuclear negotiators would continue the difficult task until the final success. And fighting breaks out in and around the east of Ukraine hours after ceasefire with pro-Russian rebels ended. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received at Sif Palace this morning His Highness Sheikh Nasser Al-Mohammed Al-Ahmed Al-Sabah. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of condolences to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, on the passing away of His Highness Prince Khalid bin Turki bin Abdul Aziz bin Turki Al Saud. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of condolences to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Abdullah bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, on the passing away of His Highness Prince Khalid bin Turki bin Abdul Aziz bin Turki Al Saud. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Burundi, Pierre Nkurunziza, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the Governor-General of Canada, David Johnston, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the Governor-General of Canada, David Johnston, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al-Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received at his Diwan in Sif Palace today His Highness Sheikh Nasser Al-Mohammed Al-Ahmed Al-Sabah. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah received a telephone call from the Minister of State, Member and Secretary General of the ruling Family Affairs Council of the State of Qatar, Sheikh Hamad bin Nasser bin Jassim Al Thani. During the call, the Qatari official congratulated His Highness the Crown Prince on the holy month of Ramadan and wished His Highness good health and Kuwait further progress and prosperity under the wise leadership of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah. His Highness the Crown Prince expressed gratitude to Sheikh Hamad bin Nasser for his noble sentiments and congratulated him on the same occasion, wishing him the best of health and praying to Almighty Allah for more prosperous returns of this occasion to both countries and the Arab and Islamic nations. The National Assembly held its special supplementary session today under the chairmanship of Speaker Marzouk Ali Ghanem. MPs approved several state budgets for the forthcoming fiscal year and held discussions on various other final accounts and are expected to continue deliberations in their next special complementary session due tomorrow, Wednesday, June 2nd. Sarah Glubb has more in this report.
During its special complementary session today, the National Assembly discussed a number of reports submitted by the Parliament's Budgets and Final Accounts Committee on the draft laws regarding the fiscal year 2014 to 2015. MPs approved the related recommendations and referred the bills to the government for consideration. Meanwhile, in response to some issues raised by a number of MPs during this session regarding the lawsuits that Kuwait municipality lost in the courts, the Minister of Communications and Minister of State for Municipal Affairs, Isa Al-Kandiri, said he had issued a decision to form an investigation committee in this regard, comprising 3 advisors from the Parliament's Fatwa and Legislation Department and the municipality's legal department. On the other hand, the Minister of Oil and Minister of State for National Assembly Affairs, Dr. Ali Al-Amer, said there are no political deals between the government and any other party, clarifying that the government presents its projects, bearing in mind the highest level of transparency and utmost care for the best interest of the nation. During the National Assembly's special supplementary session, MPs discussed a number of reports from the Budgets and Final Accounts Parliamentary Committee and approved several budgets pertaining to various sectors for the fiscal year 2014-2015. From the National Assembly headquarters, this is Sarah Glib reporting for English News.
Hopes for the formation of a new Iraqi government were dashed today when the first session of Parliament failed to make progress and was forced to disband after less than 2 hours when members of the minorities walked out. The meeting of the new legislature in Baghdad's fortified green zone could spell the end of the rule of Prime Minister Noor al-Maliki, whose foes determined to unseat him, and even some allies saying he may need to be replaced by a less polarizing figure. The impasse, which was largely expected despite intense political pressure to make a quick deal, prolongs what has already been days of intense jockeying as political blocs try to decide on a new Prime Minister, President and Speaker of Parliament. The deadlock came as a militant offensive grinds on in large parts of Iraq and neighbouring Syria, and the United Nations said civilian casualties were record high in June. Israel vowed to hunt down the Palestinians it holds responsible for kidnapping and killing 3 teenagers whose bodies were found near the town of Hebron yesterday. Earlier in the day, Israeli emergency services battled to put out fires in southern Israel near the border with Gaza after rocket attacks from the Strip set fields afire. Fatma Abdel Karim has a story from Ramallah.
The Israeli army announced it found the bodies of the 3 settlers who went missing since June 12th. The Israeli forces announced they were abducted, and last night it found them dead near Hebron. In reaction, the Israeli army escalated its military operation in the West Bank. The occupation forces raided into Jenin camp and shot dead 19-year-old Yusuf Ibrahim. Eyewitnesses said the martyr was murdered with cold blood near his house. Masses marched in Ibrahim's funeral, laid him in his final place of rest, and shouted slogans denouncing Israel's crimes.
Israel assassinated the martyr Yusuf Ibrahim with cold blood at 3 in the morning. We say to the occupation that this camp, which stood in the fiercest battle, will not stand by as a spectator.
The Israeli army had announced the names of 2 Palestinians it claimed were responsible for the alleged abduction. The names were Osama Qawasmi and Amir Abu Aishi. Last night, the Israeli forces demolished the houses of their families.
All this sabotage happened while the children were inside the house. What we can say? We shout to the whole world, but no one is listening. They claim that this man had killed or kidnapped those soldiers. But where is your proof?
The Palestinian president called from abroad for an urgent convention of the PLO to assess the situation on the ground, following the major Israeli escalation. Meanwhile, the Israeli cabinet said it is still going to decide on the appropriate response to Hamas's infrastructure in the West Bank. While the Israeli government comes up with its response, the operation on the ground is taking up the form of revenge. The Israeli government has technically ended its search for the 3 settlers. However, it continues to impose punishment on the Palestinian people. Fatma Abdelkarim, Kuwait TV, Ramallah, Palestine.
Iranian President Hassan Rouhani lauded his negotiators today, the day before the sixth round of nuclear talks between Iran and six world powers. Iran and the P5+1 countries, that's the United States, the United Kingdom, China, Russia, France and Germany, are set to resume their negotiations over Tehran's contentious nuclear program in Vienna tomorrow before an informal July 20th deadline. Rouhani described his negotiating team as experienced and professional, saying they would continue the difficult talks until the final success. The remark was a response to Rouhani's hardline opponents, who repeatedly criticized him for giving too many concessions to the West in return for too little, after a deal in November when Iran promised to cap its nuclear activities in return for an easing of sanctions by the West. Ukrainian government forces launched today a full-scale military operation against pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine, hours after President Petro Poroshenko ended a 10-day ceasefire agreement that failed to calm violence in the rest of the region. Fighting was reported in several areas across the border, including outposts along the Russian border that Ukrainian forces had lost to separatists in recent weeks, as well as near the international airport in Donetsk. Reports said 4 civilians were killed and 5 were wounded in the city of Kramatorsk when a bus was hit by a shell early today, but it was not clear which side fired the shots. A military spokesman said 1 service member was killed and 17 wounded over the past 24 hours in rebel attacks, and an Su-25 attack aircraft was damaged. The resumption of what the government calls an anti-terrorism operation raises uncertainty over how Moscow, which officially supported the ceasefire while also massing troops along the Ukrainian border, will respond, with Russian President Vladimir Putin scheduled to make a foreign policy speech later today. South Korea rejected today North Korea's proposals to reduce tensions, including a demand to cancel the annual South Korean military drills with the United States, describing them as insincere. Seoul's Unification Ministry said in a statement that North Korea must first demonstrate that it was serious about nuclear disarmament if it truly wanted peace. A spokesperson expressed the hope that the North would positively respond to their suggestion and come to South-North dialogues and cooperate with sincere attitude. North Korea's powerful National Defense Commission made the proposals yesterday, describing the planned drills as a rehearsal for invasion. Tens of thousands of protesters marched through the streets of Hong Kong today, calling for greater democracy in the former British colony. The rally was fueled by anger over Beijing's recent warning that it holds the ultimate authority over the southern Chinese financial center. The protest comes days after nearly 800,000 residents voted in a mock referendum aimed at bolstering support for full democracy. The pro-democracy activists, encouraged by the strong turnout for their informal referendum, vowed to shut down the city's financial district if the government failed to come up with electoral reforms that don't meet international standards. And moving to local financial news, the 3 main indices of the Kuwait Stock Exchange ended the trading session with a mixed performance as the price index dropped by 22 points to reach 6,948 points. The KSX 15 index, however, gained 5 points and settled at the level of 1,145 points. The share of the Kuwait Company for Process Plant Construction and Contracting was the top gainer of the day, while that of the Pearl of Kuwait Real Estate Company was the top decliner. For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. And to recap tonight's news, here are the headlines once again. The National Assembly approves and refers to the government a number of reports submitted by the Budget and Final Accounts Committee. Iraq's new parliament ends its first session in disarray, with MPs failing to make any progress in choosing a new leadership. The Iranian president affirms that his nuclear negotiators would continue the difficult task until the final success. And fighting breaks out in and around the east of Ukraine hours after a ceasefire with the pro-Russian rebels ended. Thank you for joining us.